The next day, Obinna and his sisters embarked on their journey to Amata, the neighboring village, to seek the wisdom of Ojoli, the sage. Their path led them deep into the dense forest surrounding Amata village, where Ojoli's hut was hidden. Despite the challenging terrain and their growing anxiety, their determination and desperation drove them onward, ensuring they reached their destination. When they arrived at Ojoli's hut, hidden under old trees, the sage looked at them as if he already knew why they were there. He quickly got to the point. "I can't help you unless your mother comes with you," Ojoli told them clearly. "Your mother is the key to fixing these problems." Hearing this, Obinna and his sisters knew they had a tough job ahead. They had to convince their mother, Adanma, to come and see the sage. They were worried because they knew she might not want to go. But they also knew they had to try. Their family's happiness depended on getting their mother to agree to meet with Ojoli. A few days later, after much persuasion and heartfelt conversations, Obinna and his sisters finally convinced Adanma to accompany them. Together, they journeyed back to Amata village, where the sage Ojoli awaited their return, ready to unravel the deep-seated issues that troubled their family. A few days later, after much Obinna and his sisters guided Adanma along winding paths, their journey leading them to Ojoli's secluded hut. As they arrived, the air was thick with the scent of earth and mystery. They seated themselves on the bare earthen floor of the dimly lit hut, waiting in silence. Ojoli stepped out from a back room of his hut, his presence as mysterious as the flickering shadows on the walls. With a dignified calm, he looked straight at Adanma and spoke with a voice that filled the small space. "Here I have a mirror," Ojoli declared, holding up an object that seemed ordinary yet somehow significant. "I hold a mirror here, one that shows not just faces, but reflects deeds provided by the gods of our land," Ojoli announced, his gaze piercing. This moment held the weight of many unspoken words as Ojoli prepared to reveal truths that might change their family forever. At Ojoli's command, a mirror appeared, suspended in the smoky air and affixed to the thatched wall of the hut. Its surface shimmered and then cleared, unveiling scenes that unfolded like ghostly echoes from the past. Adanma and her children watched, their faces etched with shock and horror as the mirror displayed the cruel moment Adanma had beaten Nnedi severely and forced the blood-stained cloth into her mouth, her actions merciless and harsh. The room fell silent, heavy with the weight of the truth now visible to all. Adanma's breath caught in her throat as she confronted the harsh reality of her past misdeeds, mirrored back at her with stark clarity. Her children sat beside her, their eyes wide with dismay and sorrow, the air thick with the pain of unveiled secrets. The past, once hidden, was now laid bare before them, a painful reminder of the consequences of unchecked anger and cruelty. The raw intensity of the scene left them shaken. The silence that followed was heavy, laden with the weight of unspoken truths and the harsh reality of Adanma's past misdeeds. The revelation shattered the facade of redemption Adanma had built around herself, exposing the deep scars her actions had inflicted on their family's fate. Ojoli's voice filled the hut, resonant and chilling, as he addressed Adanma with a gravity that drew the air tight around them. "See your life story as written by the gods," he said, pointing to the striking images in the mirror. "Karma remembers everything. Punishment has brought trouble to you and your daughters. Some wrongs, Adanma, are so severe that they shake the very order of the universe." The air grew heavy, charged with the gravity of Ojoli's words. Adanma, her face pale, stared at the mirror, her eyes reflecting the torment of her past actions. The images replayed the darkest moments of her life, moments that had now returned to haunt her and her family. The room was heavy with a deep sadness as the truth of Ojoli's words sank into their hearts, laying bare the painful consequences of actions long thought buried. He paused, his eyes locked on Adanma, conveying a depth of seriousness. Blood. Adanma is sacred. When you subjected that innocent girl to such cruelty, it wasn't just an act against her. It was a violation of sacred laws, polluted the sanctity of life, and a disruption of the natural balance. Blood not only sustains life but also has the power to end it. It represents the very essence of our existence, embodying the profound duality of life and death. His voice intensified, echoing through the cramped space with undeniable force. "Can you truly deny your part in your daughter's suffering?" he challenged. "Your actions were not just cruel, they were abhorrent, a violation against the sacred balance between life and death itself." The words hung heavily in the air, pressing down with the gravity of truth that Adanma could no longer ignore. The words struck Adanma like physical blows, each syllable echoing the unspoken fears she had harbored, now laid bare for her and her children to confront. The revelation shook them to their core, binding them to the spot, unable to look away from the truth that reflected back at them from Ojoli's mystical mirror. As the harrowing images flickered in the mirror, Adanma's children watched in silent horror, their eyes wide with shock and disgust. The revelation of their mother's past actions, so cruel, so at odds with the woman they thought they knew, shattered their perceptions, leaving them grappling with a mix of betrayal and profound sadness. The room felt colder, the shadows deeper, as they stared at Adanma, seeing her not just as their mother, but as the architect of their family's suffering. Stricken by the weight of her past and the pain it had caused, Adanma found herself at a loss for words, her voice breaking as she turned to Ojoli and her children, pleading for forgiveness. "I am a changed woman, devoted to my faith," she stammered, desperate to reconcile the person she had become with the deeds she had done. But Ojoli, firm and resolute, swiftly interrupted her. "Adanma, while it is commendable to transform your spirit, there are actions so severe that they resonate deeply within the eyes of the universe. The universe delivers its justice, unconcerned with late changes of heart. You must confront the repercussions of your past deeds. Some sins, once committed, set in motion consequences that personal change alone cannot rectify." His words echoed in the silent hut, a stark reminder that redemption is not without its costs, and the path to forgiveness often requires facing the full impact of one's past actions. Tears streamed down Adanma's face, her sobs filling the small hut as she turned to her children, her plea for mercy laced with desperation. "Please help me mend my ways. I am deeply, truly sorry. Forgive me, my children. I have changed. I swear it," she pleaded, her cries saturated with heartfelt remorse. Moved by the raw sincerity of her tears and the visible pain of her children, Ojoli's expression softened, his stern demeanor yielding to compassion. "The path to redemption lies not within my power, but in the hands of the one you wronged," he said, his voice resonant with the weight of his advice. "Seek out Nnedi. Offer her your deepest apologies. Seek her forgiveness. It is only through this act of genuine contrition and reconciliation that your family may find healing. This is the only way to mend the tears in the fabric of your destiny." His words, deep and meaningful, echoed strongly, offering a glimmer of hope in their distress. The profound gravity of Ojoli's words settled over the room, urging Adanma and her children to embark on a journey of true redemption, where the first steps would be paved with humility and the courage to face the past. Thankful for Ajoli's guidance, Adanma and her children left the hut with heavy but resolute hearts, ready to embark on their mission to find Nnedi. Unfortunately, the person who could have helped them the most, Ugochi, Adanma's friend, had passed away years earlier. Their search initially seemed doomed, riddled with dead ends and the disheartening realization that Nnedi's location remained unknown. Despite these challenges, their relentless pursuit finally paid off. After months of searching, they uncovered a crucial piece of information that led them to the village where Nnedi was now living with her mother and two siblings. Their spirits lifted, fueled by the prospect of reconciliation and healing as they prepared to make the journey to mend the broken bonds of the past. With renewed hope, they traveled for several days, navigating through unfamiliar territories and clinging to the hope of redemption and forgiveness. Each mile brought them closer, not just to Nnedi, but to the possibility of healing the deep wounds of their past. Adanma and her children finally reached the village where Nnedi lived, only to discover that it was inaccessible by motor. With a mix of anxiety and determination, they proceeded on foot, following a lonely pathway that meandered through the village. As they walked, the quiet surrounding them seemed to echo the gravity of their mission. After asking a few villagers for directions, they were finally led to a modest hut on the outskirts, where Nnedi and her family resided. Each step closer filled them with a complex mix of hope and nervousness, knowing that the moment of truth was near. As they reached the hut, they were met by Nnedi's mother, who upon recognizing Adanma broke down in tears and cried out, "What have you come here to do? Haven't you caused enough sorrow for my family?" The anguish in her voice cut through the air, resonating with the pain of past grievances. In a moment of profound humility, Adanma and her children immediately knelt down, their faces streaked with tears. They earnestly implored Nnedi's mother for forgiveness, their voices trembling and their foreheads touching the ground, stirring up dust as they bowed. Their plea was heartfelt as they sought to mend the deep wounds their actions had inflicted. Nnedi's mother was overwhelmed with emotion, her cries echoing the years of pain and anger as they spilled forth uncontrollably. Despite her initial reluctance, the sincere remorse shown by Adanma and her children gradually melted her resistance. After a heavy, silent pause, she motioned, though still with hesitation, for them to sit. As they took their seats, the air hung dense with emotion, each person deeply aware of the moment's significance. They sat in a circle, quietly confronting the profound opportunity for healing and reconciliation that lay before them. Nnedi's mother, her voice laden with sorrow, began to share a heart-wrenching tale that glued Adanma and her children to their seats. When Nnedi came back to the village, she was merely a shadow of her former self. She started, her gaze drifting as she sifted through painful memories. At first, she appeared strong and determined, but within days, grief consumed her. She retreated to a tiny room in our hut, spending days in solitude. She refused to eat and rarely spoke. She continued, each word heavy with the weight of witnessing her daughter's suffering. Her voice trembled with deep sadness as she recounted the next part of the story. A strange illness overtook her, fueled by her sadness and sorrow, sapping her strength day after day. I tried everything, consulted every healer within reach, but none could halt her decline. Her voice broke, pausing to gather herself before she could continue. And then she passed away. My Nnedi, my child, was taken from me. Overcome with grief, she broke down in tears, each sob echoing the profound loss and heartbreak of a mother. The room fell silent, the air heavy with the weight of her words. Adanma and her children sat, stunned and heartbroken as they absorbed the tragic end of Nnedi's life, their faces etched with grief and the dawning realization of the profound impact their mother's actions had on her fate. Tears streamed down their faces as they wept openly, each sob a testament to their profound sorrow and regret. The stark reality of their actions' impact on Nnedi's life had hit them deeply, and they mourned not only for Nnedi, but also for the irrevocable loss and pain they had caused. The room was filled with the sounds of their crying, echoing the depths of their sadness and the remorse that now gripped their hearts. Adanma and her children, moved by the profound grief and the harsh reality of their actions, spent time consoling Nnedi's mother, promising her that they would take responsibility for her well-being and that of Nnedi's siblings from that moment forward. They committed to providing support, ensuring that the tragic cycle of suffering would not continue within their capacity. Yet they faced a tough challenge ahead. They had to return to Ojoli, the wise sage who had sent them on their mission to make peace. They carried with them the sad news that Nnedi had died, which meant they could no longer make amends with her directly. This heavy conversation weighed on them as they prepared to go back, each step heavy with the sorrow of the news they had to share and the uncertainty of how Ojoli would react. The air was filled with a deep sense of loss and missed chances for healing. When Adanma and her children returned to Ojoli, their hearts burdened with the news of Nnedi's untimely death, they hesitated, struggling to find the words. Finally summoning their courage, they shared their tale with hesitancy. They told him about their journey and its heartbreaking end. They watched Ojoli anxiously, unsure how he would react to the news that the chance for a direct reconciliation was gone forever. Ojoli listened without a word, his expression giving away nothing as he took in their story. After a reflective silence, he finally spoke, his voice carrying a deep resonance. "The path to healing remains unchanged," he began, his voice steady and clear. "Nnedi holds the key to your liberation, whether she walks this earth or resides in the spirit realm. We must find a way to reach her spirit," he emphasized, underscoring that their journey of redemption must continue despite the setbacks. Adanma and her children looked at each other, puzzled and a bit overwhelmed by the idea. Seeing their confusion and worry, Ojoli explained further with a calm certainty. "The barrier between our world and the spirit realm is not as strong as you might think. With the right rituals, true intentions, and some guidance, we can reach out to Nnedi. This is more than just asking for her forgiveness. It's about helping her spirit find peace and justice." His words, filled with assurance, gave them a mix of hope and seriousness as they thought about this deep spiritual journey. Ojoli detailed a plan that called upon ancient rituals, deeply rooted in their ancestral traditions. "Prepare your minds and spirits," he urged them, his gaze meeting each of theirs. "This journey goes beyond the physical. It is a profound pursuit of spiritual redemption and healing." Listening intently, a new determination took shape within Adanma and her children. They grasped the full scope of their task, not merely a quest for personal forgiveness, but a sacred mission to repair the deep rifts in their lives and bring peace to Nnedi's spirit, a peace she had not found in life. As they absorbed the gravity of their task, the idea of reaching out to Nnedi's spirit to seek her forgiveness and offer her peace stirred a deep emotional response. This wasn't just about correcting past mistakes, it was about healing deep-seated wounds and restoring balance to their lives and beyond. Each of them felt a renewed sense of purpose, driven by the desire to mend the fabric of their destiny and to provide solace to a soul they had wronged, ensuring that their journey towards redemption was as much about their own transformation as it was about honoring Nnedi's memory. Under the shroud of night, Ojoli led Adanma and her children back to the quiet village where Nnedi was laid to rest. The air was thick with anticipation and a profound solemnity as they approached the sacred site of Nnedi's grave. The moon cast a ghostly glow, illuminating their path with an ethereal light as they formed a circle around the burial spot. Ojoli began the ritual with ancient incantations, his voice rising and falling with the rhythm of the otherworldly chants that seemed to stir the air itself. As he called upon Nnedi's spirit, the atmosphere around them charged, the energy palpable and intensifying with each word spoken. Suddenly, a whirlwind erupted, the leaves and earth swirling violently around them, accompanied by a cacophony of strange, wailing noises that pierced the stillness of the night. Adanma and her children clung to each other, shivering not just from the cold, but from the sheer intensity of the moment. Then, with a resounding boom that seemed to shake the ground beneath their feet, Nnedi's grave opened, and from it, a figure in white emerged. Nnedi's apparition, clothed in radiant white garments that glowed under the moonlight, faced them. Her presence was both awe-inspiring and heart-wrenching, a poignant reminder of the life that had been wronged. Tears streamed down Adanma's and her children's faces as they waved towards Nnedi, each gesture a desperate plea for forgiveness. "Forgive me, my daughter. I have truly wronged you," Adanma sobbed, her voice breaking as she waved at Nnedi's spectral form. Beside her, Obina and her two daughters were also in tears, each crying out in unison, pleading for her forgiveness. The night air was thick with their cries, blending sorrow and hope under the watchful eyes of the moon. With a grace that seemed to transcend the boundaries of the world, Nnedi's spirit waved back, a gentle and forgiving motion that spoke volumes. Her acknowledgement was a silent yet powerful absolution, a sign that she had heard their pleas and granted them the forgiveness they so deeply sought. Then, as quietly as she had appeared, Nnedi's figure receded back into the grave with the whirlwind, the turmoil of the air settling as her spirit found peace once more. The grave closed with a soft thud, leaving behind a solemn silence that enveloped everyone. The emotional impact of the encounter left Adanma and her children sobbing, overwhelmed by the mercy Nnedi had shown and the closure it brought. They knew that their journey of redemption was far from over, but this moment marked a poignant beginning to their healing. The night, forever etched in their hearts, was a testament to the power of forgiveness and the enduring strength of the human spirit to transcend even the deepest wounds. As they made their way back through the quiet village, still enveloped by the night's deep stillness, Ojoli spoke with a tone of finality and peace. "Your bondage has been broken," he declared, his words carrying the weight of the profound spiritual encounter they had just experienced. "All shall be well with you henceforth." His assurance filled the air around them with a sense of relief and renewal. The promise of a new beginning, free from the chains of their past actions, brought a sense of hope to Adanma and her children. They walked with lighter steps, feeling the burdens of guilt and sorrow lifting from their shoulders, their hearts beginning to mend with the belief that they were finally stepping into a brighter, forgiven future. Following the night of profound spiritual liberation, Adanma and her children found themselves on a transformative path that reshaped their lives and futures. Filled with a newfound sense of peace and purpose, they returned home, their hearts lighter and spirits renewed. Gratitude for Ojoli's guidance and the forgiveness they received from Nnedi's spirit infused them with hope and strength. In the months that followed, Adanma became a pillar of strength and compassion within her community. embodying the virtues of forgiveness and renewal. She poured herself into charitable works, helping those in need and advocating for justice and reconciliation, inspired by her own experiences. Her home, once shadowed by grief and wrongdoing, became a sanctuary of love and healing. Miraculously, as if blessed by the cleared ancestral debts and the spiritual realignment, Adanma's daughters each began to experience joyous changes in their own lives. One by one, they announced pregnancies, each childbirth celebrated as a symbol of the family's restored harmony and blessing. The villagers, who once whispered about their misfortunes, now spoke of their turnaround as a testament to the power of redemption and the grace of second chances. 2 years after their transformative night, Obinna, too, found happiness. He married a woman whose kindness and understanding matched his own, and together they started a family, continuing the lineage with love and hope. His wedding was a jubilant celebration that marked not just the union of two hearts, but also the full restoration of a family once on the brink of perpetual despair. Adanma's and Nnedi's households grew inseparable, embracing each other with a warmth that mended old wounds. The new bond was so deep that Adanma's family came to see Nnedi's mother as a second matriarch. Every gesture of love and kindness bestowed upon their own mother was lovingly replicated for Nnedi's mother and her household, weaving together a bond of unity and mutual respect that would last for generations. While material possessions have their place, the story of Nnedi and Adanma's household reveals a profound truth. The greatest legacy we can leave behind is the goodness we show to others. Our acts of kindness and love, grounded in Christ's teachings, are the most valuable inheritance we can pass down to our children, blessing them for generations. This story also teaches us that our deeds, whether good or bad, can ripple through time, affecting future generations. It is essential to leave a legacy of love, kindness, and righteousness for our children. The Bible guides us to raise our children in the way of the Lord, instilling values that will stand the test of time. Moreover, it emphasizes the importance of nurturing our relationships with love and respect, regardless of age. Every bond we create and sustain with genuine care and affection strengthens the fabric of our lives and communities. True redemption begins with acknowledging our mistakes and seeking forgiveness from those we've wronged. Just as Christ teaches us to forgive and be forgiven, we must humbly face our errors and strive to make amends. This act of repentance and reconciliation is the foundation of true transformation and healing. Let this story inspire us to live lives filled with compassion, humility, and unwavering faith. By doing so, we not only honor God, but also ensure that our legacy of goodness endures, blessing our children and their children for generations to come.
Eager for more tales, be they magical or grounded in reality? Stay tuned by subscribing and hitting the bell icon so you won't miss our next story. Show some love with a like, share this journey with others, and share your thoughts in the comments. The next chapter awaits, full of surprises and insights. Until then, thank you for being part of our storytelling adventure.